So, Adam Page is heading towards the top. I was happily wrong. Trey happily wrong, I'm sure, as well. We did not think Page would be back until at least after Full Gear, and Trey didn't think he'd be back until the first of the year. I did not know the baby showed up. I thought she wasn't due until like November. So apparently the baby is here. So baby Hangman did arrive, and Hangman has come back to work.
I didn't know that he was pregnant, but he looks good for having a baby.
I didn't know the baby came until I saw the commercial break in Roads to the Top where he mentioned as such. So I did not know that was the case.
Yeah, I have not watched Roads to the Top. Is it something that I should watch?
Yeah, it's worth the watch. There's a lot of backstage stuff, so it's not as ridiculous as you think it would be. The first episode, there was actually a little bit more ridiculous, but this week's was pretty much all backstage stuff, and there wasn't anything that felt super contrived.
Yeah, I know a lot of shows, the reality things, like, oh, we're getting all the friends together and we're going to go ziplining or some ridiculous thing.
Yeah, this felt... the Rose of the Top feels a lot more actual following stuff that's actually happening, that's actually going on. There's like a couple things you can tell are just for the show, but I'd say like 75% of it is just the goings on at AEW.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually worth the watch. And actually this week's episode was better than last week's the first episode. So definitely worth checking out, I think.
Yeah, I think I will then.
Yeah. It's an easy mindless watch too. So like I said, Adam Page is back. We had Bobby Fish making his AEW debut and then getting signed. Bobby Fish is now All Elite. And we had Hikaru Shida getting denied her 50th win by a heel-turning Serena Deeb. Really, Serena Deeb was heading towards the heel side anyways. This just kind of basically solidified her at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had a trophy and everything.
Yep. And that did not go over well.
Yeah, Hangman's lower third finally showed up to work.
Yep. All right, so before we get into the show, you're listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live on Twitch and on YouTube, and for some reason, Restream is being a bitch and not showing me the chat from both sides, so I'm just going to have to open them up. So you can come hang out with us, Twitch and YouTube, and hang out in the chat and all that fun stuff. Comments, question, feedback, you can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. Follow us on the Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. Also, you can come hang out in our Discord. The link is in the show notes for all that fun stuff. And with me tonight, I have Darryl W. Perry. You can find him at Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter as well. His stuff is in the show notes as well. That's a lot of as wells in that opening.
Yes, that is a lot of as wells. And did we mention the major announcement by Tony Schiavone? The announcement from Tony Khan that was verbalized by Tony Schiavone. We should talk about that as well.
Yes. All right.
Get there.
Yep. So we kicked off the show with a really fun match. Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage, Jungleboy, Luchasaurus, and Bryan Danielson. And this was like such a indie-rific 8-man. They were just flying all over the place, and nobody was tagging in and out, and people were in there forever. It was basically
Hold on. There were like 5 tags between Jungle Boy and Christian
in the first 2 minutes. Then the rest of the match was pretty much.
Yeah.
So Nick and Jungle Boy started off, but then Cole tagged in, and because Cole tagged in. I don't know what I wrote here. Anyways, Jungle Boy and Christian, like you said, tagged in and out a bunch of times working over Cole. Matt tried to help. That didn't work out. JR was being really grumpy about the Young Bucks headdress.
Yeah, I heard him being grumpy about something, but it sounded like he was going on about masks. And I had no clue what he was talking about and was like, oh, it's just JR getting senile.
I think it's because their headdress looks like fluffy sleep masks.
Oh, okay. That's why he mentioned masks.
Yes, that's what I think. They look like really like fluffy sleep masks.
Yeah. JR he's great in the backstage sit down interviews.
We have...
He needs to do that full time.
Yes. Nick gets crotched on the top rope when he goes for Jungle Boy's move. Bryan Danielson tagged in, gets a bunch of kicks in. Luchasaurus, he whips Bryan into the corner for his flying leg. All of the baby faces hit something on Matt Jackson in the corner. We get the kick and suplex combo from Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Brandon pulls Nick out of the way of a dive. Nakazawa then attacks Christian from behind. What did he have? Did he have like a cash box or something?
I thought it was his laptop.
Was it his laptop? It looked really thick for a laptop, but it could have been.
That's just what he normally uses, is he hits people with his laptop. And it's like, that's no way to treat your laptop.
He's what is he using? Like who made that? Was it Panasonic who made the Tough Book?
Yeah,
and it was like 3 inches thick.
Maybe he's got some bulletproof Kevlar on the outside.
They hit Bucks hit an Indie Taker on the floor to Christian, and then the Doctor and Jungle Boy and Marco are checking on Christian. Jungle Boy and Marco end up getting super kicked while this is going on. The Elite start working over Jungle Boy. We get I'm going to call it the Camel Clutch Super Click Kiss.
Yes.
From Cole and the Bucks, which gets a big yay.
I love the setup of that, where the Bucks will bounce off the ropes a few times, looking like they're building up steam to do, like the low drop kicks, and then they just stop and kiss Adam Cole on the side of his face.
And the crowd made this spot even better, because when it happened, they went, yay! And then, holy shit, even though nothing happened.
Yeah.
Omega tagged in, but he ends up talking too much, and Jungle Boy hits him with a brainbuster and the comebacker lariat. Nakazawa and Brandon pull Luchasaurus and Bryan Danielson off the apron, so Jungle Boy can't make the tag. Bucks work to stop Jungle Boy, but he ends up hitting them. At the same time, double DDT. He gets a tag over to Bryan Danielson. Omega tagged in on the other side. Bryan runs across the ring and wipes out Cole off the apron. So now we have Kenny and Bryan Danielson face to face. They start exchanging forearms. Massive lariat from Bryan, running boot, kicks in the corner, top rope Rana. Bryan then hits a top rope diving headbutt. I have to say that's something I never want to see Bryan Danielson doing.
Which thing again? I'm sorry, my brain just stopped working for a second.
A top rope diving headbutt. Yeah,
nobody should do that.
No, and I don't want to see Bryan Danielson doing it, especially given his history with concussions.
Yeah,
Bucks.
That's one move that I would love to see. Wrestling companies just outright ban.
Bucks break things up. We get a giant breakdown. Bryan hits a tiger suplex for 2, puts on the cattle mutilation. Nick breaks it up with a top rope senton right onto him when he's arching. Luchasaurus hits everyone in the Elite with something. He hits Cole with the choke slam onto Omega combo. I love this move that he started doing because it's just awesome. Kicks to the Bucks, moonsault to the floor on Omega and Cole. Jungle Boy hits the leap over Rana to the floor, and oh my god, he almost crashed and burned because Nick barely caught one leg to prevent him from landing on his head on the floor.
Yeah.
Danielson dived to the floor. Omega hits a Rise of the Terminator dive. Cole looks like he's going to go to the for a dive, but then he just plays to the crowd. But Luchasaurus hits him with a chokeslam moonsault for a 2 count. Jungle Boy tagged in. Omega hits a big V trigger. Ref distracted. Cole hits a low blow. Elite fuck up a power bomb trying to power bomb Luchasaurus. I was curious how they were going to fix it, but they didn't. They just went along. Jungle Boy destroyed by the Elite Panama Sunrise. Danielson breaks up the pin. Bryan is the last man standing. He hits Omega with a ton of kicks. Omega catches one, and he ends up eating a triple super kick and then a quadruple BTE trigger. And the Elite pick up the victory here. They the quadruple BT trigger, was that to Jungle Boy or Danielson?
Jungle Boy.
Okay, it was to Jungle Boy. Quadruple BT trigger to Jungle Boy, and Adam Cole got the pin. So 2 weeks in a row, Adam Cole pins Jungle Boy. And do the Elite have new music?
I don't know. I tuned in as the match was starting, and I didn't go back to watch the entrances.
No, they didn't have entrances. They were all in the ring before the opening credits of the show, so they didn't have entrances. But the music that was playing after the win was not Adam Cole's music, and it was not the normal Being the Elite music. So I have no idea what that music was. I think they had new music.
I didn't pay attention that closely, apparently.
This is a really good opener. I think it caused a little bit of a problem for Bobby Fish and Sammy Guevara having to follow that match, though they did get a little bit of a buffer that we'll be talking about. But any thoughts on this match specifically?
No, good match. I think wearing out the combination of Jurassic Express, Danielson, Christian versus various combinations of the Super Elite. But overall, certain individual matches, I think would still be good. But the 6 and 8 man matches, I'm getting a little tired of, if that makes sense.
Just this combination, or 6 and 8 mans in general?
Mostly in general, but having basically all of the Elite matches be 6 and 8 man for the most part, and they seem to involve somebody in the sphere of Jurassic Express, Danielson, Christian. I guess this particular program is sort of run its course, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think we're heading towards to get them heading in a different direction. I think we're going to end up going Christian heel turn on Jungle Boy, and we get that program, which I'm looking forward to.
Ooh, yeah. And then, since I believe Christian is still the Impact champion, maybe as sort of a side project for Jungle Boy for a while, let him fight for the Impact title.
I would not be against that.
I would find a way to watch an episode of Impact if that was the main event.
Next up, we had a Jon Moxley promo. He, this is a paraphrase, but he says, basically, there's no man in AEW who can pin me, no one who can submit me. You don't think I've been in a ladder match before? In Philadelphia? I have a 3-month-old at home and she's insane! So if you want to get stupid, then let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know what the thing about the 3-month-old was, other than just like, the kid's driving me crazy. I might be lacking a little bit of sleep. I can do some crazy stuff.
Oh, no, I took it as, look, I have a 3-year-old, she's completely nuts, and that's easy to deal with in his wheelhouse.
Okay, got it.
That's what I took from it.
She's 3 months, not 3 years.
Did I just say 3 years? I said 3 months when I was reading it, but yes, 3 months.
You said 3 months the first time.
All right, then we have CM Punk. He goes out to the ring. So again, CM Punk being the buffer after a really good match, hoping to make sure that the following match can not die on the vine. He says, "Who's tired of this yet? I show up here every week and expect that you guys will be sick of it, but I'm going to enjoy it while I can. You see these Jordans?" And then he says, "I came up from humble beginnings. In 2002, I moved to Philadelphia, just right down the street here. And I wrestled Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then ran a wrestling school the rest of the week. And when I could finally afford a laptop, holy shit, was I rich. I lived and breathed wrestling, and now I'm glad to be back in this community because Philadelphia is special to me. I wanted... I don't know what I meant to write here. Anyways, he wanted to give. I want to give back to you all. Outside of buying you all cheesecake, or is it cheesesteak? I don't know. You can have your pick. I'll wrestle tonight, or I'll buy you all cheesesteaks. So what's it's gonna be? Everybody chants wrestle, and sounds like the yays have it, and you can all buy yourself the cheesesteak. I'm gonna wrestle. And a few weeks ago, somebody tried to take me out. Danny Garcia, if you have the balls, you're going to meet me on Rampage in Philadelphia. And then that's it for that. He takes off his Jordans and gives them to a kid in the front row dressed as Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, and now I want some cheesecake. Not a cheesesteak, cheesecake.
I don't think cheesecake is on my diet. Cheese stun would be on my diet.
Oh, were you doing the paleo low carb thing?
I just tend to stay away from processed carbs as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not against carbs. I'm fine with carbs. I just kind of stick away from the processed carbs as much as possible.
Okay.
So I can eat I can have my, once a week sushi roll or something that has white rice in it.
Yeah.
Or last night I had a piece of pizza, which was fine. Arn Anderson, he is out back of Cody's house. He has a big old burn barrel going, and he's burning one of Cody's suit jackets on the front lawn. And then he says, this is symbolic of what Malachi Black did. And Cody looks out on his balcony. He says, "What the hell are you doing, Arn? You sneak into my house? What are you gonna shoot me now?" And Cody sees what's going on. He's like, "That's an expensive suit." And Arn says, "You can have hit TV shows. You can buy yourself a multi-million-dollar mansion. And when you're winning, everybody looks at you, says, 'Damn right, I'm happy for you.' As a wrestler, you ain't very good right now. Now give me that tie." So he gives him the tie. He says, I did not understand. Why don't you just paint a scar on your face right now? I did not understand that line.
I thought he said a star.
A star. That would make way more sense.
Yes. Because he used to be Stardust.
Yes, so I will go back. Why don't you paint a star on your face and everything will be cool? See, this is just more excess. And Cody says, "You don't need to throw that away." And Arn just slaps him in the face and says, "You threw us away, damn it!" So Cody ends up throwing the tie into the fire himself.
Yeah, I'm really confused about this whole thing. Like, it really seems like Arn made the heel turn, but Cody is the bad guy in the scenario. But
I think what they're trying to do is Arn is going to drag Cody to the dark side to basically get him to do what needs to be done to win at any cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing, like it's just confusing, and like Arn was skipping between cutting a promo at the camera and talking to Cody, and then like by the time Cody got down on the lawn, Arn just like stopped what he was saying mid-sentence, I think, and then started talking to Cody, and yeah, it's getting weird.
It was a little weird. And somebody pointed out after last week's blow his brains out on the pavement promo that Arn backwards is NRA.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of armed Anderson memes.
Did you see the
his son Glock Anderson?
And the I forget what game it was, but it was one of the wrestling video games where they had the finisher of him like wheeling double pistols.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
It was hilarious.
Great.
Somebody made like a custom shoot 'em up finisher for Anderson. It was hilarious.
I want to see Grand Theft Auto AEW now.
Yeah, just somebody make a character. Somebody make a mod for GTA and put Arn Anderson in GTA. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Next up, we had a Bobby Fish video hyping the match that they're about to have. He says he's been in wrestling and MMA all his life. He's wrestled in front of 40,000 in the Tokyo Dome. He's won titles all over the world. Sammy, you're going to be the shortest reigning TNT champion ever. The reason? You're looking at him.
Yeah, good promo. I wish that they would do things like this for all of the, like new comers, if you will, especially since this was him answering an open challenge.
Mm-hmm.
He had not signed with AEW officially, or at least it wasn't announced that he had signed when the match began. So they were saying like he's come through the forbidden door, because it wasn't that long ago that like he was in WWE on NXT. Apparently he is also working with MLW. But yeah, like there needs to be just more short little hype videos.
Mm-hmm.
For people that are coming in, instead of us trying to figure out like, oh, why is this person putting on a really good match against this other person? And then like 2 weeks later you find out, oh yeah, here's what their pedigree is.
Yeah, I mean, they did that for a lot of the TNT Open Challenges when Cody was champion to begin with.
Right.
I mean, Ricky Starks got one. Kingston got to cut a promo. But yeah, they need to start doing it again.
I'm still annoyed that when Serena Deeb had her first match, like they waited 2 weeks to tell us she has worked as a trainer and like she's held titles in a bunch of other companies. And then I later realized, oh, she was Serena that was in WWE in the Straight Edge Society, and she worked in I forget where else it was, but like it didn't click at first that this is the same person that I've seen elsewhere. Like, let us know some of this when they first show up instead of waiting 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
So we had Bobby Fish versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship. There was an inset with Sammy, and he said, I did what I said I would do. I became the new TNT champion, and Fuego, here's your new truck. And Fuego jokingly says, I'll put it on the line for a TNT shot right now.
And then they both start laughing.
Yep. So early leg kicks from Fish. Sammy hits the ropes, but grabs the ropes to avoid a big head kick. Sammy flying around, single leg drop kick, hits a spear and enziguri in the corner. Sammy goes for a double springboard. Fish kicks his feet out from under him, though I think he took a dive before Fish actually did the kick. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
No, I didn't.
Okay. They exchange kicks and strikes. They get the heat on Sammy for a bit. They also start to lose the crowd a bit. To be fair, though, the opener and then CM Punk is a bit hard to follow. They fight on the apron. Sammy hits a jumping knee, and then Fish goes to the floor. He kicks Sammy's legs out from under him, and then so Sammy slams onto the apron. Strikes from Fish on the outside. Sammy comes back with a flying knee and some strikes. Fish hits a backdrop suplex for 2. Kicks exchanged, and then Sammy hits a Spanish fly in the middle. He goes up top. Sammy's legs get kicked out again, and then Fish hits a top rope Falcon Arrow, which was nuts. And but he only gets a 2 count. Fish hits an exploder into the turnbuckle. Sammy ducks a head kick and grabs the leg when he's coming up from the duck, scoops up Fish and hits the GTH and gets the victory. I thought this was a pretty fun match. The middle was a little plotting, but
just before Sammy basically pulled the GTH out of nowhere, I thought, all right, maybe Fish will wind up winning this match.
I actually thought that too. At some point in the match, I thought they might actually have Bobby Fish win here.
Yeah. Like, I was actually getting ready to type it in the Discord when Sammy hit the GTH.
So this was a fun. I mean, that Falcon Arrow off the top rope was crazy, and when they did the replay, I had to watch because I'm like, how the heck did Fish get his legs in position and not get his leg crushed by Sammy's body? And it was a thing of beauty to watch because he just flipped over his left leg under, but he had his right leg tucked, and right before he hit the ground is when he extended. It was amazing.
Yeah, and just looking at the Bobby Fish wiki entry, it appears that he left WWE on August 6th. So his 60 days would have been up, basically yesterday.
Since he was NXT, I think he probably only had a 30-day.
Oh, okay, but still, it was, right at 60 days.
Yeah, and also somebody, I forget who it was, somebody on Twitter pointed out that on the first night of, on NXT, opposite the debut of Dynamite, Adam Cole was opened the show, and Bobby Fish was in the main event. And here, Adam Cole and Bobby Fish are both on the 2-year anniversary show. And Adam Cole opened the 2-year anniversary show.
Yeah, so now I'm curious if anybody else from Undisputed Era, which was Cole, Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, if any of them are still in NXT or the WWE system.
I think both of them still are. But, I mean, who doesn't want Kyle O'Reilly?
Yeah, so Roderick Strong is in a faction called the Diamond Mine with Tyler Rust and a couple other people. And Kyle O'Reilly is now a singles wrestler.
Yep. Next up, post-match, American Top Team. They all make their way down and through the crowd and surround the ring. So Sammy's in the ring by his lonesome. Paige Van Zant is actually the one who gets in the ring. So Sammy is distracted by her. So Scorpio Sky attacks Sammy from behind. and then he gets ambushed by the rest of American Top Team. Fuego runs down, he gets his ass whooped, and then Jericho's music hits, and he and Hager come out and make the save. Jericho dropped Junior Dos Santos, and I didn't notice who Hager had paired off with. It wasn't important anyways. Dan Lambert gets on the mic, and this was great because he says, okay, that's enough of that stupid song, and they cut off the music, but the crowd keeps singing the song. And he is just like incensed. It's so great, and he's so good trying to get them to stop singing the song. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I loved it. He is probably the second best heel in AEW right now, behind only MJF.
Yeah, and he's one of the best promos, like, ever in wrestling.
Yeah.
Dan says, let's be clear who's calling the shots around here, but the crowd is so loud. They are trying to drown out Lambert, and nobody could hear what he was actually saying, except for us at home, because we get the clean feed through the mic. He basically says that they're going to be in Miami for Rampage next week, and South Florida is the home of American Top Team, and Jorge Masvidal is the king of the streets there. And since they're going to be in their town, it's their rules, so it's going to be he said inner city circle jerks versus Men of the Year and Junior Dos Santos in a 6-man. Jericho says, "What? We can't even hear you." But then his mic dies, and then he gets another one, and he says, "I couldn't hear anything you said, but we're gonna beat the living shit out of you and your dipshit team." And JR said, "That's the worst kind." The living shit is the worst kind.
Yes. And dipshit team is also the worst kind of team.
Yeah. Good here. Dan Lambert, obviously, he's a huge wrestling fan. He knows how it all works, and he's just really good at what he does.
Yeah.
There was a short video of the Acclaimed. Basically, they challenged the Lucha Bros to a tag title match on Rampage. So that's going to be an interesting one. Lucha Bros versus the Acclaimed. So I didn't know Anthony Bowens was back. Did I?
Yeah, he...
Oh, no, he was back a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he was back a couple weeks ago. There was actually, if you watched the dark, I think it was the Dark Elevation that was taped in Arthur Ashe. At the end of that, he calls out Tony Khan, where apparently he had challenged Tony Khan to a rap battle. And Tony Khan was like, well, I've never done a rap battle before, but I've got somebody to help me. It's Lil Uzi. And apparently people knew who Lil Uzi was. And so he came out and he apparently wrote the rap for Tony Khan, and Tony threatened to suspend the Acclaim for another 30 days and then said that they had to face the Varsity Blondes. And then they got beat down by the Blondes, and yeah, it got a pop. So yes, the Acclaimed are back, and it wasn't Anthony Bowen; it was Max Caster that got suspended.
Yes, but Bowen was injured, but he actually came back before the suspension. So
right,
I couldn't remember the timeline. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh wait, but Bowens came back from injury like 6 weeks ago. So. All right, then we had Tony Schiavone in the ring with Aubrey Edwards. She's holding a bag, which looks like it's a title under the bag, and it is. So he says, we've been making history for the past 2 years. He says that Dynamite's moving to TBS, and we'll have a new championship as well. It's the TBS championship, and that's going to be in the women's division.
Yep, it is the TBS title, and it was pointed out earlier that the TBS logo, the T and the B are actually touching, so it looks like it says hose. It is the hose title, but since there are now, we're naming television titles. That's essentially what they are, right?
Yeah.
It's a TV title. We're naming them after TV stations. I am declaring myself as the True TV champion.
The formerly Court TV.
Formerly Court TV. As I am medically uncleared, we don't have the rule that I must defend it every 30 days, so I'm just not defending the title. I'm the reigning champion, but I am not the reigning and defending champion.
Next up,
I defend it on my terms.
JR has a sit down with Darby Allin, and he says he was pretty uncomfortable with what happened with Darby and MJF last week. Darby says Max made everything very public. I'll tell you why I paint half of my face. It's true. My uncle was driving drunk and died that night. I paint my face because I feel 50% of me is dead inside. My respect for people is gone. My trust for people is gone. There's a reason I have nothing's over until you're underground tattooed on my chest. I faced death that day, but I'm still here. Max can say whatever he wants, and everyone expected me to pop him in the face, but mentally and physically, Max is not going to win this war. I've seen people like him. I've read this book 1,000 times, but he's never met somebody like me before.
Yeah, good promo. Again, I love the sit downs that JR does with people, and that should be the only thing that he is doing in front of a camera.
I would have to agree, and I will still throw in, I think they should bring in Veda to round out the table.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yep. Next up, we went to Darby Allin versus Nick Comoroto. And when Darby's doing his pose up in the corner, he decides to go straight out of the pose and dives onto Nick and Aaron Solo, who are on the outside before the match even starts. QT was also at ringside, but Sting was at ringside in Darby Allin's corner, so he kept QT at bay. Nick blocks a flip-over stunner and takes control. They get heat on Darby through a commercial break. Darby then avoids a splash in the corner, hits a double boot when he's running in, when Nick is running in, and then he does hit a flip over stunner and then hits a coffin drop to Nick's back while he's on all fours and gets the victory. And then post-match, while Sting and Darby are in the ring and Sting is facing the hard cam, QT sneakily, I guess, gets into the ring, and while Darby is not paying attention, he hits Sting with a diamond cutter. Sting no-sells it and pops right back up, kicks QT in the balls, and gives him a scorpion death drop for good measure.
Yeah, you've got to love when a 63-year-old man just no-sells things.
Yep.
And that's why New Jack tried to kill some dude down in Puerto Rico. You've heard about the Gypsy Joe incident, right?
Probably. I just can't pull it off the top of my head at the moment.
Yeah, it was like some old dude that had been wrestling in this territory for like forever, and he was no-selling all of New Jack's moves because that's what he does. And New Jack wasn't happy and started just like wailing on him. It's in the Dark Side of the Ring episode about New Jack.
The classic, if you're not going to sell, I'm going to make you sell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Next up, we have the Dark Order is all backstage, and Uno says, I know I haven't made some of the best decisions lately for all of us, and now I think, and we've had some disagreements, but now I think everything should be up to all of us, and we should all make the decision together. And then John says, I believe our first vote should be Allin needs to put the mask back on. And then they argue a bit about who looks like who. Does Allin look like John or does he look like Stu? And then Anna says, hey, are we all on the same page here now? And everyone's like, yeah, we are. And that was it.
Did you notice who did not have their hands up when Anna wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page?
I did not.
Yeah, it was the dude that looks like Stevie Richards.
Alex
number
Reynolds.
3. Yes. I always forget his name, but I remember he's number 3.
I always remember because when they first, because they came in as jobbers like the first week of Dynamite, I always remember because it was, I always thought Long John Silver's.
Yeah.
And I always thought Reynolds rap. So Alex Reynolds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we had Dante Martin. He's in the ring with Tony Schiavone. And he says...
Poor Dante.
Dante
is dead. Rest in peace, Dante Martin.
He says he's been a pain in the side for quite a few people in AEW, and he challenges anybody in the locker room to fight him. The lights go out. Lights come on. Malachi Black is standing behind him. They face off. Malachi spits mist in his face, kicks him in the head. Lights go out. When they come back on, now all the lights are on. It was spotlighted and now all the lights are on. Black says the House of Black accepts. So, Dante versus Malachi Black. Yes, please.
There can't be a Dante versus Malachi Black because when the lights came back on, Dante was gone. Like, he's already dead, buried 6 feet under.
He was on the floor. They showed him on the floor.
Oh, I must have looked away when I saw that, or when they showed that.
Yep,
I did not see him.
They showed him. He was alive. He was looking up, and he was on the floor.
Okay.
Yep.
He didn't have coins on his eyes to pay the boatman's toll?
He did not.
Okay.
Though he probably should have. Next up, we had Ricky Starks. He's in the ring when they come back from commercial, and he says, "This right here is the original FTW championship, the same that was built down the road in South Philadelphia, the same that Taz had because he had the FTW mindset, and that's why I have it too, but I can't say the same about the previous champion." And then he says, I mean, he didn't even show up for work, and I was ready to challenge him to a Philly street fight. And then Cage runs out, so he did show up to work and attacks, and Hobbs and Hook have to come down and save Ricky. And they make that match for Rampage.
Yeah, and he's lying about saying that he's holding the original FTW title. It's gone through some evolutions since the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. There's a short video of a bunch of ladies talking about the TBS championship. Thunder Rosa, Sky Blue, Ruby Soho, and Jade. And Jade's going to make her that title her bitch or whatever.
Yeah.
I
want to see Ruby win it. And of course, they had the promo. I forget if it was now or later, but since we're talking about the video packages about the TBS title, Britt Baker had a backstage where she said, "I'm glad that they've got this other title now that women can fight over that and leave me alone."
Yeah, this was before the next match, but we can no, it was after the next match. But we can jump to it. Britt was backstage with Tony before the final match of the evening, and she says she was pushing for the Cartoon Network title. Or did she say the Adult Swim title? One of the two. She said.
I think she said Adult Swim.
Okay. And then she said, "I'm happy to see all the jealous bitches in the back have something they can fight over without obsessing about me being at the top." So.
Yeah.
So we go to the match. Of Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb. Hikaru Shida hoping to get her 50th win in AEW, being the first woman who makes it there. They have a little crystal trophy for her set up on the outside should she win. So a little presumptuous of them. We have some mat wrestling to start, and
well, it's good to go ahead and have the trophy because at some point she will get her 50th win. There's no other woman that is, that close to getting it. So, like, yeah, go ahead and make the trophy. She'll win it at some point.
Yeah, unlike when the Super Bowl happens and they print up shirts for both teams and then send the ones that of the losers to third world countries.
Yeah.
It can't do that with a little crystal trophy. Little mat wrestling to start. When they break it off, Shida offers a handshake and Serena slaps her in the face. Shida hits a running single leg drop kick, a bunch of strikes in the corner. She hits a headbutt and a drop kick in the corner. She hits a rising knee to Deeb hanging off the edge of the apron. Shida sets up the chair so she can do her jumping knee, but Deeb grabs the chair, folds it, throws it under the ring. That gets a bunch of boos. That's a heel move right there if I've ever seen one. Deeb hits a neckbreaker across the middle rope. They get the heat on Shida for a bit. Shida hits a backbreaker and a few strikes. Front face lock spin and just drops Serena on her face. Missile drop kick off the top for 2. Deeb then comes back, puts on the octopus hold. Shida avoids the detox. They hit some strikes. Gato clutch from Deeb for a 2 count. Rising knee from Shida. Shida hits a crossbody to the floor and then throws Serena back in the ring. But as she's getting into the ring, Deeb hits her with a chop block to the knee and then a dragon screw while she's still tied up in the ropes. Hits a swing neckbreaker for 2. Deeb attacks the knee. Shida hits a rising knee in the corner. Shida hits a face down. I have no idea what to call this. It was basically a face down body slam or sit out. It was like a reverse Falcon Arrow almost. Running elbow. She hits a Falcon Arrow for 2. Deeb blocks the katana. She rakes the eyes, hits the detox, but Shida kicks out at 2. And then Deeb is just pissed off, so she slams Shida's knee into the mat a bunch of times, puts on the Serenity lock, and Hikaru Shida taps out, so she does not make it to her 50th win. And just to add insult to injury, Deeb grabs the trophy from the outside and breaks it over Shida's head.
Yeah, that's where it solidified the heel turn. Throwing the chair under the ring, that's kind of a babyface move, because introducing a weapon into the match normally should be a heel tactic, but it's Shida and she's a babyface and she can do no wrong. Holy Shida. But yeah, the rake of the eyes and then the breaking the trophy, that's where it's like, yep, she's definitely a solid heel now.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to how they play this off with Shida getting to her 50th win. I'm curious if they'll give her a 2 week, 2 or 3 week losing streak, and then she faces Deeb again at the pay-per-view to get her win.
That would be much better than my thought of them just having it happen on a random episode of Dark.
But Deeb going heel, definitely an interesting move. She was kind of heading that way anyways, so I think she can be a great heel, especially given her style that she works. She works a pretty technical style, which you, as a heel, you can make work really well, especially in the type of environment that AEW tends to be, with more of the high speed action, and she can slow stuff down. And I mean, yeah, she's just excellent anyways.
Kind of like the Mick Foley, I guess at the time, Cactus Jack in ECW, where he's like, I'm just going to do rest holds.
Mm-hmm.
You want extreme wrestling? I'll do rest holds.
Classic. But I mean, Serena Deeb is excellent. I mean, she was a coach. She was a trainer at NXT for years before coming over to AEW. So I mean,
I'm wondering, and hear me out on this, if instead of doing a 2 or 3 week losing streak for Shida, let her get the 50th on that Saturday night Dynamite.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the next one. So Alex Marvez chases down Darby Allin in the parking lot, and he says, "Hey, MJF asked for a match against you on Dynamite. Do you accept?" And Darby Allin says, "Of course I'd accept. Of course." Thought he'd never ask. And then a limo pulls up, so Darby is ready to fight, but he gets attacked from a masked assailant from behind. Obviously, it's Shawn Spears with a chair. And then 3 more masked assailants attack, and it's obviously FTR and Wardlow. They throw Allin into this barricade that has a stop sign on it. They pile up the barricades, and then Wardlow gives them an F10. And then another masked assailant comes out of the limo. Clearly, it's MJF. He then chokes Darby Allin with Darby Allin's skateboard, and then they make their leave. Kind of funny that they had a mask up for this.
You're saying it's obvious, but they all had their faces covered. For all we know, it was the inner city circle jerks.
Yeah.
We don't know that it was the inner or the Pinnacle. It could have been Vince McMahon all along.
I can't wait for MJF's promo about this because it'll be classic.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. He had to cover his face because he's in New Jersey or wherever the fuck it was.
They're in Philly,
which is close enough to New Jersey. And because he's a heel, he can pull it off that he just says the wrong place.
Mm-hmm. They run down the card for Rampage. They're actually going to squeeze in 4 matches, though I'm guessing one of them is just going to be a squash in like 30 seconds. CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia. Jade versus Sky Blue. I'm guessing that one's going to make it 30 seconds at best. And then we're going to have Ricky Starks defending his FTW championship against Brian Cage in a Philly street fight. And we also have the Lucha Bros defending their titles against the Acclaimed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Philly street fight.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty good. I heard that Lucha Bros versus the Acclaim was good as well. I don't know how the other 2 matches went. Next,
you mean you heard that they will be good because it airs tomorrow night?
Yes,
at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah. Next up, they had Leo Rush. He says, "Hey Dante, huge fan. They call me the man of the hour. I'm a businessman. Looking at you, you're hurting, and I'm not talking about physically. You're an untapped commodity. I'd like to take you to new heights, and if you're going to take this challenge from Malachi Black, you might want a little advice. So I'll have my people call your people. We'll talk soon."
No, he said, "I'll have my people call you."
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Normally it is, "I'll have my people call your people." But Dante doesn't have people yet.
My typing just did it on its own.
Yeah.
My dyslexic typing adds stuff that wasn't actually said. The Britt Baker promo happens that we talked about. She was hoping she'd get the Adult Swim title, and that all the bitches can stop fighting over her. And then last up, we had the Casino ladder match. The winner gets a world title shot, and participants enter every 2 minutes with the big ass poker chip hanging over the ring.
I like the fact that this match can end at any time.
Yeah, before even the last person gets in, it could end whenever somebody grabs the. Though, what prevents people from running in early? That's one thing that.
Right, it's a ladder match. There's no disqualification. What are you gonna do? I'm the Joker. You haven't called me yet. Ha ha ha.
Right. You know, it's just one of those things we have to be like, we'll just dismiss that for now.
Yeah.
Pac and Orange Cassidy started off. Again, that's one of my favorite Orange Cassidy matches was Pac versus Orange Cassidy way back when. Pac comes out the babyface tunnel, so they're still playing that on. I'm not sure which way he's supposed to go. They waffle back and forth with Lucha Bros, with Death Triangle in general. Pac stops Orange Cassidy from putting his hands in his pockets, says, "Come at me." So Orange Cassidy tosses his glasses to the outside, and Bryce did catch them. And they lock up. We get a few slams from Pac, backbreaker from Pac. And this is when I noticed there's also tables set up around the ring. So this is a TL match. So they have tables and ladders set up on the outside. Pac throws a ladder into the ring, and Orange Cassidy pushes it back towards him. Like, slowly just pushes it back to the edge of the ring. Like, he doesn't want this in here. Pac blocks the Around the World DDT.
I think JR was like, what's he doing that for?
Pac blocks
He doesn't want it used yet.
Nope.
That's what he's doing it for, JR.
He doesn't want it used on him. Pac blocks the Around the World DDT and hits a brainbuster. Andrade comes into the match. Andrade grabs a ladder, but Pac drop kicks it into him before he can even get into the ring. Pac sets up a ladder in the middle, starts climbing. Andrade springboards in, lands on the other side of the ladder, and then he hits Pac with a sunset bomb off the ladder. And Pac's height was probably about the same as the top rope, so it was a big old sunset powerbomb. And
I love that springboard jump onto the ladder.
Yes, and I'm curious if they stiffened the ring a little bit for the ladder match, because it didn't look as bouncy as some others that they end up losing the ladders a lot. I'm not sure. It could just be they're really good at this stuff now. Orange Cassidy stops Andrade. I put from his ladder into Pac. So I'm guessing that means he threw a ladder into Pac. Oh, stops from throwing a ladder into Pac. That's what he stopped. Orange Cassidy hits him in the pocket move, hands in the pockets move. Hardy comes in. He hits a side effect to Orange Cassidy right away. Knocks everyone down with a ladder and then sets it up in the middle. Orange pulls Matt off the ladder. Orange ducks and Pac hits Matt with a super kick. Orange Cassidy hits an assisted kick to Matt while he's in Andrade's arms, and then hits Andrade with a DDT. Pac hits a moonsault off the top rope to the floor on Andrade and Hardy. Lance Archer comes in. He is dragging a random crew member down to the ring with him. He throws the crew member at Andrade, but Andrade ducks, but he still gets wiped out by Archer. He gets slammed to Orange Cassidy on the apron, then massive shoulder block to Pac, hits the helicoaster on Hardy. He brings another ladder into the ring and makes a bridge from the first ladder to the second rope. He puts Orange Cassidy on it and does a splash onto the ladder. Archer decides to wait for the next entrance to come out instead of climbing the ladder, and it is Moxley. Archer meets him in the crowd. They brawl in the crowd. Moxley kicks a security guard off of a chair and throws the chair at Archer. They fight back to the ring and Russian leg sweep into the barricade from Moxley. But then Archer comes right back, takes out Moxley. Orange Cassidy hits an orange punch on Archer and hits another, and the ladder is around Archer's neck. So Archer is now on his knees holding this ladder straight up with it around his neck. So Orange tries to climb up Archer's back up the ladder, which I thought was a pretty funny spot. But in comes Moxley, and he brings everything back. And then the last person, the Joker, is Adam Hangman Page. And as you said earlier, the lower third finally decided to show up for work. And he and Moxley brawl in the middle. He takes out Moxley. Archer drops Orange Cassidy onto a ladder. A lariat to Andrade. Crossbody to Hardy on a ladder on the outside. Or into a ladder. Pac attacks Hangman from behind with a chair. Pac tosses a ladder out of the ring and throws a table into the ring. And he sets it up in the middle, and now there's a ladder that is catty-cornered to one of the corners, and then a table. So we got turnbuckle, ladder, table, and Pac gets on the top, but Andrade starts coming up as well. Andrade falls off that ladder to the outside onto a ladder that was set up between the apron and a chair. And that was a crazy bump to take.
Yes. I don't know what's crazier, that or the next bump.
Hangman goes up top. Pac ends up on Hangman's back, though, and Hangman hits the Deadeyes off the top of the ladder through the table, though Hangman went through the table. Pac missed the table and landed basically shoulders and neck. And from what I hear, he's okay. Moxley comes in. He hits a paradigm shift on Page. Moxley sets up a ladder. Orange Cassidy starts running up it and meets Moxley at the top. Moxley bites Orange Cassidy in the face. Hardy pushes the ladder over, and then Hardy puts Orange Cassidy on a table on the outside, gives him a big leg drop off a ladder through the table. Archer stops Moxley from going up the ladder. Hangman hits a buckshot lariat to Archer, and he starts to climb. Moxley hits him with a chair and starts to climb the other side, but Hangman starts going up. They fight on the top of the ladder. Moxley falls off, and Hangman grabs the chip, and Hangman gets a title shot.
Yes, I love it. They haven't yet said when he will get the title shot. I'm hoping it's at Full Gear.
That is what I am thinking, considering Full Gear is like, what, the 13th or something like that?
Yeah, just over a month away. But no matter when it happens, I am so looking forward to it.
Yeah, see, this is kind of one of the things. I was not expecting Hangman to come back before, at least after Full Gear, and I was thinking mid-December. Trey was thinking not even until after the first of the year, because I still want to see Bryan Danielson and Omega go to a 60-minute draw. And just super fantasy, I want to see Omega defend the AEW title at one of the Tokyo Dome shows this year for Wrestle Kingdom against Kota Ibushi. And then he can lose the title at Revolution to Page. That's what I wanted to happen, but, you know.
Maybe he can defend the AAA Mega Championship in Tokyo.
Yeah. They're doing 3 nights of Tokyo of Wrestle Kingdom this year. They're going to have 2 nights back to back in the Tokyo Dome, and then they're doing a 3rd night in a different arena, like 4 days later or something. So they're still calling it Wrestle Kingdom, even though it's like, you know, they do their New Year's Dash the night after Wrestle Kingdom. It's getting a little ridiculous right now over in New Japan. They should just stick to the one night of Wrestle Kingdom, New Year's Dash the following night, and then go from there, because that formula works way better than I think this works. Yeah. Especially considering the pandemic is still iffy. So, I mean, it's not like they're going to be able to fill up the Tokyo Dome 2 nights in a row. I mean, they didn't last year, not even close. So this year, I still think it's going to be a bit rough to try to fill out 2 shows out of Tokyo Dome instead of just 1 and pack everybody.
Yeah.
Anywho, way off topic on AEW, but I'm assuming the match does happen at Full Gear. Yep.
Yeah, and they still haven't, from what I've seen, they haven't announced any participants for the Owen Hart Cup that was announced a few weeks ago, and they don't yet have a bracket for the TBS Championship.
Yeah, considering the TBS Championship, the final isn't going to be until after the first of the year anyways. That makes sense. I believe the Owen Cup was going to be in December, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember when they said that was happening.
Yeah, I don't think they've announced when it's going to happen yet. I would not be surprised if they use the Owen Cup as a number one contenders tournament for Revolution, because everybody's records reset at the beginning of the year, so they tend to have a tournament for the tag team going into Revolution. So I would think they would do it for the singles as well.
Yeah, I'm also wondering what the named episode of Dynamite in December will be this year. I'm assuming they'll probably keep the Winter is Coming name, but not really sure if they're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I assume they're probably going to do that. They are doing the Thanksgiving show in Chicago like they are planning on doing every year, and now they're thinking of doing the Arthur Ashe show every year in September. So they're kind of like making this calendar of named dynamites or special dynamites that happen throughout the year to offset the 4 pay-per-views. I like that they only do 4 pay-per-views. I think that's a smart way to go, especially given the whole market and all that fun stuff. It's not like they have a network that you can pay $10 a month for.
Right.
Yeah. So I like how they work it out, and I'm thinking Full Gear is going to be the match, Hangman Page and Omega. And at this point, I don't see how they couldn't put the belt on Page after all this journey. I don't think they would give him another roadblock at this point.
Yeah. Or if there's some shenanigans from the Jackal and the Stooges, maybe they have to have a cage match at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still other matches that I still want to see with Omega as the champion. We have not had the singles championship match of Orange Cassidy versus Omega, and Orange Cassidy is still sitting at number 1 ranked. Same with, we haven't had the singles Pac versus Kenny Omega for the championship either. So like those are 2 matches that I want to happen before Adam Page gets the title, along with a 60-minute draw with Bryan and Kota Ibushi at some point. that's just way fantasy on the Kota Ibushi thing, but Bryan, that's got to be one that's got to happen, right?
It's got to. I'm assuming, but at the same time, like they've done some really good long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
I don't know how many more years either man is going to continue wrestling.
Meaning Bryan and Kenny?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Kenny's 38. He has a lot of wear and tear on his body, obviously. Bryan, what is he, like 40? 42? 41, 42?
Probably.
So, I mean, he's probably not got a ton left. So, yeah. Probably not a ton of time for either of them. He actually just turned 40.
He's 40.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how long he signed with AEW. I assume he's got a 3-year probably. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So, a lot of stuff. I mean, it is running down on time for a lot of people. I mean, even in the long fantasy, Kota Ibushi, same thing. He's 38 years old, I believe. So, running out of time on some of these matches, which is sad, but it's what happens.
It is what happens, yes.
Let's see. Ratings wise, Dynamite had 1.05 million viewers. They, of course, went up against a big playoff game in the MLB. So, and that game drew a lot more. So that could have come into play, but they just barely stayed over 1 million this week. But they're probably fine.
Yes. I'm curious what sort of number they'll get on Saturday next week.
Yeah, should mention again, Saturday, no Dynamite next Wednesday. It's going to be on Saturday. So really, we just have Rampage tomorrow night and then we go like 10 days without well, actually we just go a week because Rampage is going to be on the 15th. So we go from Rampage to another Rampage, right? Or do we not have Rampage on the 15th?
No, there's Rampage on Friday, so it's back-to-back nights of wrestling next week.
Okay, so we go from Rampage tomorrow to Rampage next Friday to Dynamite on Saturday to Rampage on the 22nd, Dynamite again on the 23rd, and then Dynamite on the 27th. So we have that fun, weird little thing because of sports.
Yeah.
And that's why they're moving to TBS, so this doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. And of course, if you want to watch anywhere between 40 to 90 minutes of wrestling on Mondays and Tuesdays, there's Dark and Dark Elevation. I thought that they were going to be shortening those because, like, for a couple of weeks, they were all down to, like, 45 minutes. And then there's other ones where it's, like, an hour and a half. And, like, there's no consistency. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and now they're taping Dark in Universal Studios.
Okay, so Dark is in Florida. Dark Elevation is in wherever
Dynamite
Rampage and Dynamite are.
Yeah, they basically do Dark Elevation, then they tape Dark Elevation, then they do Dynamite, then they do Rampage. On Wednesday nights.
Yeah. Okay.
Except when they have the weird scheduling and they end up getting a live Rampage, then they don't. So.
Yes, obviously, if Rampage is live, it's not also taped.
Yep. So as far as AEW coverage is going, I'll be back on Saturday with Trey covering Rampage. We're also going to be covering New Japan G1 coverage on Saturday as well. Then after that, it's probably going to be a little bit more New Japan next week, and then I am taking a vacation from the 15th to the 18th. So nothing during that time, and then I'll probably have a crap ton to do because the G1 wraps up on the 21st. So I have a ton to watch. So on the 19th, I'll be back here with Darryl talking AEW, Dynamite and Rampage from the 15th and 16th. And then I'm sure probably either on that same night or before Dynamite on the 20th, we'll be doing G1 coverage because the finals is on Thursday. So it's going to be a lot of wrestling for me to... G1 is like the toughest time because you're watching 20 shows in the span of... Luckily, they stretched it out a little longer this year. It's like over the course of like 35 days instead of like 20 shows over the course of like 28 days. So a little better this year.
I also saw something that they don't have as many undercard matches.
Oh my god, it's been so great. They either have one undercard match with one of the new Young Lions and then just go straight to the 5 block matches, or on some of the shows, because Tokyo still has a curfew, they've just done the 5 block matches with no undercard match.
Oh, that would be so much easier to watch instead of here's 6-man tag matches with half of the guys from
the other block
that's not wrestling, and the other people plus a young boy.
Yep. So last year, I really liked the format because they basically did a Young Lion versus Young Lion. They had 3 Young Lions last year, so they all just rotated through. So the unofficial C block was just 3 Young Lions, and they do a match before every show. So they just had that, then the 5 block matches. When the pandemic is over, keep that formula. One, it's probably better for all the wrestlers because they're not wrestling 20 days in a row. They get that day off if they're not in a block match, which is probably better on everybody. And for watching it, way easier than having this. It's easier to watch like what comes out to like just shy of 2 hours of show when you take out like the intermission and skip through some ring entrances and whatnot, versus like a 3.5 hour show because they had to stick a bunch of crap on it first.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right. AEW wise, I got nothing else to talk about. You got nothing else to talk about. So let's wrap it up here. Thanks for everybody for watching and listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live on Twitch and on YouTube. You can follow the links in the show notes to those channels, and it will let you know when we go live. We tend to do AEW Dynamite the evening after, Rampage the evening after, and then with New Japan, it's all over the place because they do not have a set schedule. But if you follow us over on Twitter, at That's Wrestling 1, I also post usually at least a half hour before we go live. I try to do it as early as possible, but at least a half hour. It'll let you know when we're going to go live talking whatever. So at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1 at the end on the Twitter, and link to our Discord is in the show notes as well, and link to Darryl at Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter. You can find him in the show notes as well. So for Darryl W. Perry, my name's Eric LaRoche. You've been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.